again, this is homework number 6. Homework number 6. This is on page 've updated the textbook a little bit, so it may have shifted. So let me fix that for you as well. This is on page 31. Now, my first question is that, do we get the model correct at least? The model I have, I'm going to copy this really quick just from the answer key. That, was this your model? It was the whole 0.55x minus 25 minus, you know, I'll color code these so it stands out, minus 5,368.22 minus 297,688.82, and then I said what, 10%? Yeah, 10% of the model of the profit function. So there's 0.1, and here was the original profit function. So whoever's question that was, sorry, I didn't recognize your voice. Do we get this okay? And then of course, this pertains to everyone else. Did you get this okay? All right, perfect. Yeah. Now, remember, this is optional, absolutely optional for those that need it or don't need it. And for those that do not understand it, no need to jump forward, okay? You can, you may combine to simplify. And then the pieces I'm talking about specifically are this and this. That's why in the solution, I know a couple of people asked before when this was first due, but I don't mind mentioning again, that's why there was a 0.9 in the answer key or solution, that you can combine these two. What I've also notated though was that if you do not simplify or combine them, you will still get the correct answer. So that's 1. 2, for the first follow-up question, Q1. The thing that everyone does remember is that with break even, everyone remembers that it is $0 equal to equation. But the problem is that people get blindsided and then they take only the profit function here. And that is incorrect, right? This is wrong right here, right? It is not only P of X, right? If we're asking for break even for the follow-up question, the implication is that you want to set $0 equal to the entire model. Whatever month I'm asking for, it has to be everything. So it's this entire 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces right there. Okay, so that's the second thing. The last thing is that since I already have in the answer key how, maybe not for this problem, but another example where I combine or simplify those 2 brackets right there in pink, I'm gonna do it just the long way here by not combining it. And I'll go really quick, and it's just to show that you will get the correct answer either way, okay? So now I'll just note here really quick that note done the long way. And remember, long doesn't mean incorrect, it's just inefficient. So let me do this really quick. So it's $0, and then you're also solving for items, not dollars, right? I'll mark that off as well if you don't establish that. Not dollars, not money. Write that in caps. Yeah, I just had to mention that one last time. Okay, let's go. So $0 equals, okay, now I'm going to split things up. 0.55x minus 25 minus 5, 3, 6, 8, 22, and then minus this big number, 297, 688, 82. And then now in green, I'm going to distribute this properly. So this becomes minus point, what is that? Should be 0.55x and then plus 2.5. So that's the distribution of the far bracket on the right, or pink bracket with a negative 0.1. Now you can combine your numbers, and the numbers you're going to combine are, let's use a different color, are all these numbers right here, right? You add those up and you'll get what? 0 equals, so add or subtract depending on how you think of it. So negative 25 minus 53, 68, 22 minus 297, 688, 82, and then plus 2.5. That's how people's answers are sometimes a little bit off because they forget that distribution at the end. In any event, that becomes minus 303,079.54. And then you have, let me circle this in pink, yeah. You have the x's now that you combine. So these come together, and then that will be what? 0.55 minus 0.055, which is 0.495x. Make sure I did that right. Good. And then it's regular algebra, right? You add this 303 to the other side. So 7954 equals 0.495x. Divide both sides by 0.495. And then as long as I didn't make any mistakes, you should get the same answer, 0.495. So this implies x is equal to 303,079.54 divided by 0.495. Yeah, this is right. You get an exact answer of 612,281.89 repeating, but then the expected answer will be x equals 612,282. I think we're talking about marshmallows here. So you can see that, and I've seen it in some of your homeworks as well, right? Whether you do this long way, which is, again, the traditional, albeit inefficient, it's far from wrong. It's just that you can see that you don't have to distribute twice if you just, in the pink here, you combine it, you distribute once, and then you can add or subtract or however you want to think of it. And this just doesn't make it messier. It just means that you have to pay extra attention, especially distributing that negative. So you can see that the signs change here on the right and here as well. So that's where students may run into details that may complicate the answer or make it off by a little bit. Again, it's not harder. It's just little tidbits that you would have to look at a little bit more than usual. Okay. Now remember, if a question asks for break even and it's part of a model, you must encompass the entire model, just as I did here. If it is a problem that is a cost revenue profit, like say what is chapter 1? More specifically, the first exam, then you use only the profit function, right? And that's why I have that written up here too, with the crossing out and everything. You want to set the entire model equal to 0, not just the profit function, because then you'll be off by a ton of things, right? You're not acknowledging the other expenses that your business or personal finances, whatever the case might be, that you have to calculate into your standard of living, everyday living. All right. Let me just see if there's any other questions in the chat box. Nope. Okay. What other questions do you have for me?
I actually have a question about homework 8, about just one part that I'm a little confused about.
On the extra credit?
Yeah.
So that one, you can
I-
ask me after class if you want, unless it's
Okay.
just a clarification, because it's supposed to be, this one is strictly on your own type of thing.
It's just a clarification.
Okay, please go ahead.
So there's one part where an investor is giving money every other month.
Right.
Is there a way to show that, like,
I see.
or do I just, like literally add it every other month in the model?
Right. It's the latter, what you just said. Every
Okay.
time you see, and I have this in a regular example and as well as practice as well, so I can acknowledge this in general. When you see this whole notion of every other month, blah, blah, blah nonsense, right? I made it a stipend just so that I'm making people pay that close of attention when they're transitioning from models from one month to another. So if I say every other month, starting with second month, subtract $100, right? If you're in first month, you have the model and then nothing. And then all of a sudden you have the second model, second month. These are months, by the way. Then you take the previous model and then you now subtract 100. And then when you get to the third month model, right, you have just the model. And then when you have the fourth month model, right, you continue with whatever the last month's model was. So say it's a Navy now. And then again, you subtract 100. In this particular problem, I was describing it as a stipend. So you're adding instead of subtracting. And I forgot whether it was one of the sample problems for the final or one of the examples within chapter 3 where I introduce modeling, where I talk about every other, but it's literally just either an adding or subtracting of a month or a number of every other month, whichever I give you as the starting month. Normally I say starting with the first month, but I could say starting with the second month like this, subtracting 100. But yeah, it's nothing special. It's just a constant. It's just a regular number. And you just have to remember two things. One, to include it where it's needed. And two, when the months start to alternate, it's a good catch, or I guess a little bit of a test in the way that I assessed if you're keeping track of all the things that are moving from month to month over and over.